back. We're Think Tech. We're live. We're Wednesday. It's Energy Wednesday right here in Pioneer Plaza, our new studio. What an exciting time. And we have a special show for you. We have Vice Chair of the House Energy Committee, Cynthia Thielen, Republican. May I say that?
You certainly can. And it's nice to hear it associated with being a vice chair.
Welcome to the show, Cynthia.
Thank you, Jay.
It's great to have you here. And my co-host, Sharon Moriwaki, another co-chair, kind of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum. Thank you for being here, Sharon.
Great to be here, as always.
Everybody, you know, you make everybody happy, Sharon. This is a good thing on a radio show or otherwise. And before we get into the substance of our discussion with Cynthia Thielen, I want to say hi to Larry Newman, who's going to give us the Negawatt moment from Hawaii Energy. Welcome again to the show, Larry.
Thanks, Jay. Yeah, I'm with Hawaii Energy. We are the Ratepayer Conservation and Energy Efficiency Program for Hawaii, Honolulu, and Maui counties. And today I wanted to talk to you about a niche offer we have for small businesses in the state.
Did you say a niche offer?
Niche offer.
Whoa.
You know, I mean, I can think of so few organizations that actually do that, Larry.
Well,
It's a classy show, Cynthia.
we're up in the bar. Well, this demographic are targeting the small businesses and restaurants. They have been traditionally underserved by programs like these. They are limited to Schedule G customers, so they're the smallest of the commercial customers here in the state. And the program had tried to incent these businesses to do energy efficient lighting retrofits, and we could give them very high incentive levels, but what we learned was they really need the whole package. So what we've done is we've worked with a number of participating contractors. You can find them on our website at hawaiienergy.com/retrofit. And you'll find our contractors there. And they'll come to your business, they'll do a pre-audit, they'll look at your lighting, they'll give you an estimate of what should be replaced and an expectation of how much money you should be able to save with more efficient lighting.
What does this cost you, this visit?
This visit costs you nothing.
Whoa.
Nothing?
So this is a 100%
Wow.
funded
This is a free
program.
lunch. It's a free lunch.
It is a free lunch.
Yeah.
And some participants have declined because they think it's too good to be true. But the typical project for a small business could be anywhere from a couple $100 worth of lighting to a couple $1,000 worth of lighting.
And you supply all of that, the supplies and everything? Or what,
No,
how is that?
the agreement is with you and that participating contractor. So just like any normal business decision, you want to get comfortable with the contractor, understand everything, your contract is with them. They'll provide the lighting, they'll take care of making sure the right product gets in the right fixture, but we'll reimburse the contractor for the work. So it's no money out of pocket for the business. However, because you are getting a valuable service, it may be taxable. But still, that's a fraction of the value
Is
that
that
you're...
established? You hesitated when you said that.
No, it's
Is it
established.
taxable?
It is. It is.
Okay, but for
there's
the
a-
fair market value of the
Right.
goods and
Service.
services
Yeah.
provided.
With our program, I think the tax rules are anything above $600 is you get like a 1099.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you make sure it's taxable.
Yeah, so we're interested in attracting small mom and pop restaurants. They typically have very long hours of operation, meaning they're burning energy, inefficient lighting for a long period of time,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of savings for us to capture.
That's great.
Yeah.
So how do people sign up for this program? Just give us the track of how that works.
Well, you should take a look at our website. I mentioned hawaiienergy.com/retrofit. We've got about a half a dozen participating contractors, and we're on the verge of bringing in about that many more. Talk to the contractor, make an appointment with them. They'll come to your business, make a free assessment of your existing lighting. They'll put together a written contract for you. For your review and signature. They in turn get in touch with us and we approve that project, that application, and then they'll schedule the retrofit, you know, at your convenience, take care of it. They'll do a final audit to make sure that everything was installed properly, the counts are right, and then that information would be forwarded to us for processing. So it really
great.
should not take a lot
Simple.
of effort on the part of a small business, which is the intent of the program.
You
So
know,
is it just the service, or is it the service, and if I have, 100 bulbs or 100 LCDs, or, whatever, that's all free too, or the supplies part of it I've got to pay? As a,
No.
Everything is free.
It's a
Everything.
complete service. Part of
Wow.
the assessment is to make sure that you have inefficient lighting. So they're not going to replace efficient lighting, and they're not going to redesign your store and say, hey, I want mood lighting or something fancy. It's really an in-kind replacement that's just going to save you
Wow,
money.
that's great. Wow,
Yeah.
people should sign up. Wow.
yeah, you guys come to the show every week. We like that. We want that. And every week you have another program.
I do.
You and Ray Starling must lie awake at night at 3 o'clock in the morning coming up with all these programs. Nobody comes up with this many programs as you guys. This is
What are we,
fabulous.
the fifth weekend? Fourth weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep going, Larry.
We continue to try to whip up new and exciting ways to save energy. There's a lot of potential out there.
And it's so important.
And if there are other lighting contractors out there that may have an interest in becoming a participating contractor, we'd love to hear from you. You should just check out our website, hawaiienergy.com, and send us an email or a phone call.
So if I'm on the neighbor island, I can just go to that same website, and if I'm on Maui, I have
Correct.
contractors.
That's right, right. Whether you're on Hawaii Island, Maui Island, Lanai, Molokai, or Oahu.
Thank you, Larry Newman. Thank you for your negawatt moment this
You're
week.
welcome.
We'd love to have you on the show. Come back next week.
Will do.
Moving on to Representative Cynthia Thielen, who is the Vice Chair of the Energy Committee in the House and a Republican. And my first question for you, if you don't mind discussing this, Cynthia, is how does a Republican get to be Vice Chair of the Energy Committee after all these years?
After all these years and spending about 20 years doing environmental work as an attorney. What happened, Jay, we have a coalition, and it's a very workable coalition. We formed together, and we now have, by we, I mean the Republicans, have 3 vice chairmanships. Our minority leader, Aaron Johansson, is vice chair of finance. Representative Jean Ward is vice chair of business economic development, and I'm the vice chair of energy and environmental protection. Just to give you an idea of how well things work, when I used to go to one of the major voting days in the Capitol, I would take boxes of materials, testimony, of course the bills, all sorts of information, and it would be all piled up down by my desk. Well, this year, it was such a positive beginning to our legislative session with our coalition. I walked down with 2 small binders, a little bit bigger than this, just carried them down, and there they were. And when the Sierra Club went out with its alert about, here are the bad bills, watch out for them, they were all Senate bills, none in the House. So we stopped the bad measures before they even had a life.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's been a very collaborative process where access is amazing. It used to be that many doors were shut to the minority. They aren't. We're all working together, and I really believe that this helps the people of Hawaii because we're not focusing on infighting or on being, we own all the power, we're going to keep you isolated out there.
You can leave that to the guys in Washington.
Well, except later in the show, we're going to talk about the one bipartisan work that's underway in Washington, D.C., but let's save that
Good.
till later.
Well,
But
I think
it's
it-
really
That's
wonderful.
positive.
It really, it feels very good to have vice chairs, Republican vice chairs sprinkled around the House. And I think this is, all in all, it's a good development.
It's to be
Oh,
a
I
better
do.
product, what comes out, because it is collaborative, and you can get
Yeah.
everybody's input.
And
Yeah.
people really have access. The thing that was interesting, when this coalition formed, some of the old-time lobbyists became a little bit disgruntled because they said, well, now we have to go talk to a lot of people.
Oh,
Where they
yes.
used to just go right to the chair of the committee, and that was it, and this is what I want to have happen, tell the chair, and then that was it. And so now they have to go and really sell their product or idea to all of us, and hey, that's a heck of a lot better.
Yeah.
They
The
used,
product will be much better.
well, they used to, a lot of them felt they owned the place, and no longer. So it's very refreshing. We have quite a youthful group. I say that as one of the senior members.
Oh.
But Erin Johansson, our minority leader, is quite young, and Beth Fukumoto, our minority floor leader, is quite young. We have Scott Psyche, majority leader, Sylvia Luke, head of finance. It just, the whole thing
New
is just
generation.
working well.
Yep.
Yeah.
New generation.
Right,
coming
and
in.
then Joe Sukier and I are the senior members.
Oh, sure.
That's great.
This is great.
That's
And
good
again,
news.
the communication is wonderful. It's just
Yeah.
really good.
Good.
We're-
Happy to hear that.
Yeah.
You know? So you're enjoying it. But tell us, what does a vice chair do actually?
Well, we do a lot of things, which one of the things we want to make sure that everyone's testimony is available, not only to the committee members, but to the public. That's tremendously important to get that all together and make sure the public has internet access to it. So it used to be that you had to come and wait for the committee hearing and see what people felt about the different bills. And that was the way the former group used to control things. Members never knew till they walked in. Committee chair did, of course, but members didn't. And that whole thing has changed.
That's great.
It's open, it's on the web, and people can look at it. And of course, the members have access to it well before the committee hearing, and they can say, oops, okay, here's a little bit of a wrinkle about this bill, this doesn't seem so good, or here's one that's great. So it's so much better for the public.
Yes, it
Jay,
is.
I just can't tell you what a great feeling it is to be working collaboratively as people, as legislators, without that partisan
Yeah.
problem
Yeah.
getting in the
You
way.
can get things done that way, and
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
and the life experience of it is a better time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I think we're going to take a short break. Cynthia Thielen, Representative Cynthia Thielen, Vice Chair of the House I would say Energy, yes?
Energy and
Committee,
Environment.
and Sharon Moriwaki, Co-Chair of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum. And we're going to say farewell to Larry Newman of the Negawatt Moment in
been a pleasure.
Hawaii Energy. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
We'll take a short break right now. Thank you, Jack Waters. Here we are, Think Tech Live on Wednesday with Energy and on KGU 760 AM. If you want to call and talk to us, you can. You can make a comment or a question. We have actual legislators here today.
It's late door.
Representative Cynthia Thielen, the Vice Chair of the Energy Committee, is here. So if you want to call, 296-5467. So one of the things that I noticed, Representative Thielen, which I'm really delighted about, because I've been tracking on this at least 10 years, is the system on the website, capital.hawaii.gov, that lets you submit testimony. It is really, really easy. It's never been easier. And I would say also that it's probably easier than most other states in the union. If you want to submit testimony, it doesn't take you but a minute really to do that. This is great. We hope everybody reads the testimony.
Well,
but
actually, at least I do, and I think most of our members do. And then a lot of us sit at the committee hearing, and as the bill is before us, we can go up on our computers right there and just follow the testimony down there and take a note if this is a question you want to ask the testifier, etc. Or if someone isn't there, but they emailed in from a neighbor island, then we can say, wait a minute, here's what so-and-so said from the neighbor island. What's your opinion and your position on this?
yeah, that's great.
It works really well.
And you know what? I can do the same thing that you can do. I can go on there and I can see all the testimony that's been submitted. I can get a handle on where the public really is on this, or at least
Right.
where the people are.
Well, I can tell you on the Public Land Development Corporation, that was
Oh, sure.
our computers were almost steaming with the huge opposition to that. It was just basically repeal, 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 which we did on the House side. We did.
That's
participatory
great, yeah.
democracy.
Oh, it's
That's
was
great for
wonderful.
what technology can do so that you can actually get to broader audiences and the public can write in. And,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
yeah.
then there's a bill pending to allow electronic video conferencing testimony
Yes.
during the session, which I think is really good, and all of state government ought to be doing that.
Well,
all the
certainly.
agencies and so forth saves so much money.
Families Skype, so
Yeah.
why can't we just use this kind of technology?
Sure. Yeah, there's really no good reason not to. But I wanted to ask you, you know, as vice chair, I mean, I had the distinct feeling in our exchange of email that you're working harder now. Is this true? And what exactly are you working on?
Late hours.
Yesterday was a 14-hour day,
Ooh.
and
Oh, my.
no, I mean, but I just have so much energy because it's so much a better system with our coalition. So one of the things I've been working on, and Jay, I've been hammering you about this for a number of years.
Carry on.
All
Hammer,
right.
hammer away.
We are surrounded by an awesome power, and when you stop and look at it, the surfers know what it is. It's the energy in the ocean. And we are surrounded by this fantastic energy that our government, state government, hasn't focused on it at all. So we have a few changes nationally. The Department of Energy has done a recent assessment and upgraded the amount of energy that's in Hawaii's waters. And they've come out with basically saying we have more than enough to power all of our islands individually with systems off of each island, not needing a cable, but able to tap into the power in the ocean. This isn't the ocean that the areas that the surfers use. This is further out, and it's the movement of the ocean that you're tapping into. So federal government, again, not state, not under the former administration, not under this one, they're just ignoring the water that surrounds us. Federal government has funded a project that is going to go into Marine Corps Base Hawaii, and it will be with they're setting up what is called, I'll give you the technical name, the Wave Energy Test Site, which stands for WETS. The WETS system is going to first have 3 berths for wave energy converters. The first will be fairly near shore, and when President Obama and his family are surfing out on the base, they will be able to, again, take a look at where the wave energy converter will be placed. There was a former little test project going on, but now they're going into a much more serious one. That project should be deployed probably in October. They'll finish the environmental work by September, and then be able to put in, it's called a WETS-NZ for New Zealand. And that's the technology that will go in there. 2 other berths will be deeper in the ocean, and those will be ready for deployment in 2014. So we have federal Marines that are saying, I guess the Department of Defense is saying 50% renewable energy by the year 2020. That's fast. I mean, that's less than 7 years away. Wave energy converters will play a role in that. And then we have the U.S. Department of Energy that's funding some of this operation. So we're really moving ahead, but with the state just kind of with not even paying attention to it.
Well, you know, the state is in a passage between Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, Sharon. Is that fair to say?
We took all the low-hanging fruit, so now we really
Okay.
need to look at some of these technologies.
Yeah. And this is one of those technologies. I mean, you know, right now the undersea cable has issues around it.
I hope so.
We know how you feel.
I don't, and why do we want $1 billion cable when we can tap the energy in the ocean offshore of each island? The other thing that I was delighted to hear, Robbie Alm, Hawaiian Electric, has acknowledged that wave energy is a firm, and I'll put it in quote, firm power. Wind is intermittent, solar is intermittent. They cause troubles for the grid when they, the sun goes behind, a cloud goes over the sun, the wind stops blowing.
But not
So-
wave energy,
no.
it's all the time.
Because it's available about 90% of the time in Hawaii, and the reason it's so good and so firm is that the NOAA satellite can forecast a change in the wave climate. So the utility will have knowledge like 24 hours, 48 hours in advance if they need to make any adjustments to
So
that.
is part of the testing finding out what happens when there's a huge storm or a tsunami, and what happens to your
The
converters?
devices?
Yeah.
Well, there's one that's on the island of Ely in Scotland that provides the power to the people that live on that island. It's in the north.
I'm smiling because I guess you've been there.
No, I wish I had. But,
Cynthia Thielen goes everywhere in the world to check out ocean energy.
No, I haven't been there, but I have a constituent that went there, and he said it was amazing. He walked out this long dirt road to the end of the dirt road, and here it was. It's a shore-based system. Here it was just operating away. And this can be some harsh climate over there.
Sure.
And it's doing just fine. It's been there for over 10 years. The company is so good with its devices that Siemens bought it.
Really? Oh,
Siemens
that's a
is
statement.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and the statements are occurring, again, it's overseas. It's in England, Ireland, Scotland, France, Portugal, Spain. And they are in Spain, they have a breakwater system that had enough energy coming up against that breakwater.
Oh, how
They went
interesting.
in with like a cookie cutter, took out this slice of the breakwater, dropped in one of the WaveGen systems.
So it
and
gets
boom.
compressed.
Yeah, and it's just powering away.
We've got to do this, you know.
I know.
Do the people on the Energy Committee know you feel this way?
Well,
Are they surprised in some way?
They do, and the people in the legislature do too, because it just is. If you talk about low-hanging fruits, this is a fruit that surrounds all of the islands. It's there. It's low-hanging. Wave energy converters, they have estimated, will provide power for about under 10 cents a kilowatt hour.
Oh, that's a
Really?
good price. That's a terrific price.
Oh, I know. And they say that one place that it makes so much sense, of course, is Hawaii.
So, you know, do we need legislation to make wave energy happen?
No. No.
There's nothing pending, and you don't think there's anything that needs to pend? I mean,
No,
for
we don't.
example, an incentive? No
No.
need. No.
No, we don't need it. What we need is, instead of the administration putting all of its money into this underseas cable and some of the other sort of questionable projects, for them to just drive around the shore, open their eyes, and go, okay, Department of Energy says the power out there is awesome. Let's see how we can facilitate that. So we just need a little bit of leadership in the state that recognizes what the ocean can do for
Well,
Hawaii.
how would it unfold? You and I have had this conversation, and you know, Sharon, I really enjoy going to see Cynthia because we go on television with the Olelo television crew in the state capitol, and we have this discussion. And after the break, I'd like to get to exactly how it should unfold. What are the steps that, you know, people have to take to make this happen? This is Think Tech. We're doing energy. It's Energy Wednesday. I'm here with Sharon Moriwaki and Representative Cynthia Thielen. We're talking about, well, I guess we're talking about ocean energy.
Ocean energy. What else?
and what it's like to be vice chair of the Energy Committee this year. And we'll be right back after this break. We're back. We're live. We're here. Sharon Moriwaki and me. We're here with Representative Cynthia Thielen. And let me take a moment and say it's great to be with you, Representative Thielen.
Thank you.
Because you're a leader in the legislature, and you've kind of come to a place where you can exert more leadership now, and we are just happy to be here. We're happy for the show, for tech in Hawaii, for energy in Hawaii, and just a moment of thanks. That's all.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you. Yes, positive energy here
Yeah.
and new ideas.
Well, it's all about energy, right?
Right.
So, so going back to, the way we left it before the break, and that is, how is this going to unfold? How do you're kind of like the chief advocate, at least in a public sense. What has to happen first and second and third in order for us to get to where we're making use of this huge source of energy?
My hope would be that we don't have to wait for the Marine Base project to show how powerful this source is. But if we do, they deploy in October, and people are going to be able to go out, read the meter, take a look at, wow, this is powerful, we should do more of this. I've tried with different department heads, former administration and this one, but they kind of just look at me because they don't really know about this technology or recognize it. Wind is comforting because there have been windmills around for a while. Solar
Don
is
Quixote.
comforting. Solar is comforting because they've been solar systems.
Yeah.
But when you talk about wave energy, it's so out of their zone of comfort that they just don't come and step forward with concepts of how the state could move. I believe that we should have certain ocean areas, depending upon, of course, not in a marine mammal sanctuary, making sure that they're not in any sensitive area, but we should have certain ocean areas declared renewable energy zones. And you put together a RES, a renewable energy zone, you start doing your environmental assessment for that, taking into account the different kind of technology, not near shore based, but your deeper ocean water technologies. Do your environmental assessment, make it so then your wave and developers can come and test their systems.
Well, I see this possibility as huge, but the point that Sharon raised during the break about leadership, and you alluded to the fact that you'd spoken to a number of agencies and you didn't have a lot of pushback on that.
Well, it's just more glazed eyes and kind of a glazed smile.
But we have, we always talk about this. We have so many agencies in Hawaii that are looking at energy, and there's no single one that comes to the top and says, "Follow me, buys," as they say. And show us the way. Show us wave energy, for example, as a leading possibility.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I have to give credit to the consumer advocate, because I've been meeting with the consumer advocate and saying, please learn about the technology, see why this would really help our customers, because it will bring in power at such a much lower cost. He has taken this step to make arrangements to meet with the people in Oregon. He's going to be over there this month, and he's going to where Oregon is the leader in the United States. They've been very aggressive with their governor, with their department heads, with their university, and they've moved ahead, and they're putting in the first commercial wave energy test site in the nation. He's going over there to meet with them, and I thought, right on. But has anyone else from the government? No.
I hope he comes back before next week, because he's going to be sitting in this chair next week.
Then I hope he
to ask him
goes
about
before
that.
next week, so ask him
tell me
about that.
If the Department of Defense is doing all of these studies and they're actually
Department of Energy.
Department of Energy
Yes.
at the Marine Corps base,
Right.
and they've got the site, and they know that the Department of Energy and Department of Defense are behind this. Why isn't the state being a partner with the efforts going on?
And with our wave climate, which is the second best in the world, why hasn't University of Hawaii even put in a wave tank to allow the inventors to go ahead and test devices? We have wave tanks at the universities in Ireland, in England, Scotland, you name it. They're all over the place, and here we are in Hawaii with no thought, no no
Yeah.
direction from them.
You know, I mean, looking at the energy stool, the stool with the three legs, you know, government and industry and academia, there's no question that, you know,
More
we
testing.
have to find leadership in academia.
Well, yes.
You know, you absolutely need to improve the technology. You have to do materials science, right? Because you have all these challenges over, you know, the effect of the corrosion and so forth on the devices. So the university could do a lot in that department.
Oh,
That-
absolutely, absolutely. And the bright students that are in getting graduate degrees in Sweden, they're primarily women, by the way, which is
Good.
interesting.
Good news.
But they have a graduate degree in ocean energy itself, you know, not sort of diluted by some other subject, but just directly, how are they going to mine
Really?
the energy from the ocean? I wanted to bring up one thing because I think that for the scientist kind of people out there, that the improved distributed generation, like wave power, creates volt amp reactive support, and that's called VAR, VAR support, that can be used to enhance the voltage regulation and stability of local grids. So locating this VAR support from wave energy near the point of consumption, and then they're saying reducing step size and making the control active all improve the performance of the grid. So when Hawaiian Electric gets, I know this is a little bit above my head here, folks, but when Hawaiian Electric gets concerned about its grid stability, wave energy provides VAR support. And I leave that to the Hawaiian Electric engineers and other engineers to be able to interpret. But not only is it a firm power, it provides an added benefit to the grid.
Well, there's so many issues, you know, that can be researched where we, Hawaii, can be out in front. You know, we can be the leader in the world in this kind of technology. We are one great big laboratory for it. And the university, which is doing so much in ocean science, could do ocean energy so
Oh,
easily.
certainly
It's
they
all
could.
related, you know.
Certainly they
I'm
could.
surprised they're not doing. Are you sure HNE?
Well,
we should
there's
check on that.
okay.
Yeah.
HNEI is part of the university, so
Yeah.
to the extent they're doing anything, that would qualify. you know.
It was a period of years ago, about 4 years ago, when Senator Akaka put in an amendment to a bill, and it was a specific section, and it called for establishing like 3 or 4 federal ocean energy centers throughout the United States. I called up Virginia Henshaw and asked her to put together a meeting, bringing in some of her deans, and I pitched the idea to them to say, please apply for this, because University of Hawaii should be one of these federal wave test sites. And she thought the idea was good. They finally did apply for it, and UH was awarded that. But it kind of has gone into an academia black hole where we aren't seeing a wave tank being developed. They're supposedly doing a little bit of help for the Marine project, but the Marines are very capable of pulling that off by themselves. So I'm not seeing a actual development of let's get devices in the water, here's a location, let's make that a wave energy test zone for they could put these devices out there. You know, a lot of it, I guess they have a lot on their plate, so no one's picking up the ball and really running with that.
Well, I think part of life at the university, and Sharon can certainly attest to this, she's in the very epicenter of the university, but it's grant oriented. So if you can get the grant money, that incentivizes you to do the research. If you have trouble getting, I mean, assuming that if any researcher will do in his area what he's granted to do, then what it sounds like is it's hard to get the grants. Because I think they'll always apply. If there's money out there, they'll apply.
Well, they did get money with this.
Yeah.
It's not a huge amount, but then if they could leverage that and look at, let's have a project, pardon me, in addition to the Marine base.
Yeah, we should definitely have that, and the university should look for and find the money, and I guess that's a big part of the leadership issue. And there's a kind of connection between finding the money at the university, doing the research, making Hawaii the laboratory it should be in this area, and also raising investment money, venture capital money, so that entrepreneurs can actually make companies. As I think this is what shall we say? It's a ripe pomegranate.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, and the university with the new chancellor is very interested in doing research of significance to the community, so it might be an opportune time to revisit.
Well, I kept talking to the economic department and saying, do a study like they've done in, I believe it's Ireland, where they showed the payback to the community and the region by investing in wave energy systems. How many jobs were created? No, it was in England, southwest England, where they've put in the wave hub. And it was a large number of jobs, and these were good paying jobs, but they actually did the economics. And it made a lot of sense. A wave hub brings like 287 jobs, and these are virtually all of them high paying jobs. And what else it would do for the local economy.
We know there are a lot of scientific issues and business issues that have to be worked out to take advantage of this kind of energy. And that's jobs for local people. That's jobs for local scientists. That's jobs for local entrepreneurs. I mean, it's a thing waiting to happen.
Jay, if we had a wave tank at UH, Oceanet has brilliant scientists, local company, and they came up with a back of the envelope design, and it was simple in the design, but yet brilliant in the design. And couldn't they go up to a wave tank at UH to test it, then move it up from test size out onto the base?
That's a rhetorical question by Representative Cynthia Thielen. We're here with Sharon Moriwaki. I'm Jay Fidel. This is Think Tech. We're going to take a short break. Be right back. Hold that thought. Thank you, Jack Waters, and thank you, Leah Rodriguez, our board ops. We're back into the fourth quarter on this thing, and I want to say also that it's really fun to talk about energy. Energy is the biggest thing that ever happened to Hawaii, and we must do it. We can't stop halfway. We have got to be smart, and we have got to follow through on all of this. So, Cynthia, what do you expect is going to happen in the House Committee on Energy this session?
I think we're going to move ahead some good concepts. People are working to make sure that we can use photovoltaic throughout our community and make it affordable by coming up with different creative ways of financing that. That's one of the good things. I think the House side, as I mentioned earlier in the program, Jay, when the Sierra Club came out with its look out for these bad bills, they were all Senate bills, none of them in the House. So I think we're moving ahead.
What did Mike Gabbard say about that?
Haven't asked him yet. But now we have done what is called crossover. And for people that aren't aware of what that is, that means the House bills, we voted on all of those yesterday in a 14-hour session. And then those bills all go over to the House or Senate. The Senate's bills have all come over to us, including the smoking gun ones that I've got to plow through the pile and find out which are the bad ones and make sure they don't survive.
Yeah, it's really important because, any bill, every bill gets in, and then you have to vet them.
Yeah. Well, and they don't all get in. They're just, I think it's like about 1/10 of the bills that are introduced actually make it into law. And at the end of our process in the legislature, then they all go up to the fifth floor to the governor, and where the governor makes a decision should some of them be vetoed. So getting a thought, an idea into law is not an easy process.
Yeah.
As
really
it should
takes,
be, though.
and it shouldn't be.
Yeah,
It should.
yeah.
It
It should be thought
Oh,
through.
you talked about a new culture, a new dawning here, a new year, largely change in leadership and all that. But also we heard from both Mike Gabbard, Senator Mike Gabbard, and Representative Chris Lee on your committee that there was a new kind of collaboration between the House and the Senate. Have you
And
seen
that's so
that?
much
Have you?
better.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see it more as we get to what's called conference committees,
Yeah.
where we deal with their bills, and then the bills are in somewhat different form, and then, not all of them, but some of them, and then you go into a conference committee. So I'm anticipating this year, we're so much more together on what we're doing in the House. We're not having the sort of the infighting or anything of that nature, and so I assume that we'll be doing a good job, and maybe some of what we've accomplished will rub off on the other side.
You know, some promotion from a minute. Bob Toyofuku of Hawaii Advocates and I are working on a HVCA, Hawaii Venture Capital Association think tank program for March 28th on exactly how we're going to pay for all the various initiatives that everybody would like to have, which is a sort of you know, it's a below the surface kind of issue, but it pops up on everything. I'm really looking forward to that. Now, you also support hemp, Cynthia.
That's correct.
So do we have any time to talk about that today? We
I'll
have
do
2 or
it
3
really
minutes,
quickly.
maybe?
Yes. I definitely support industrial hemp, which is a crop that you can grow that has 25,000 uses or products. It's an amazing crop. It was part of the founding of our nation. Our Declaration of Independence was written on hemp paper. The early farmers were encouraged to grow hemp, and they could even pay taxes in hemp instead of in currency. You just go on and on
And
with
building materials.
Oh, that's why I love it. When you mix your hemp with lime and water and you make your kind of a concrete type building material, you build your walls out of that. They're termite impervious and they won't burn. So what more do you want for our building materials? Climate controlled, you probably won't even need air conditioning.
Yeah, sure. So where are we on the continuum to get to hemp?
Well, and House Bill 154 sets up a test project, a pilot project, which is very inexpensive. It would run about $60,000 a year for the University of Hawaii scientists to do. And they're going to be testing the hemp crop to see if it can be a biofuel, if it can provide biofuels ultimately for airplane fuel. And then it also is going to be looking at phytoremediation to clean up the contaminated ag land. So House Bill 154 went through unanimously from the House. It's over in the Senate, and I believe it will get a positive reception over there. The Dole Company has just notified us that they will let us use a quarter acre of land at no cost. The scientists that will be running it has really been able to keep the price down, so to the $60,000 a year. My hope is that we then will be able to get the Drug Enforcement Administration permit for a crop that won't get anyone high. So tell me why you need a DEA permit.
Is there really a concern about?
Well, there's the bipartisan in Congress that I wanted to tell you. Yeah. Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader in the Senate, and his Democrat counterpart have co-introduced the Industrial Hemp Farm Act of 2013. This is probably the only bipartisan activity going on.
Nice they agree on something.
And in the House, they have a bipartisan Industrial Hemp Farm Act of 2013 also.
So this is good leadership because the state can follow, you know, this progress.
Well, and if once they clarify that hemp should never have been outlawed, last crop of hemp was harvested in 1957. It was crucial for our war effort because our supply of hemp was cut off from Manila, and so we needed it for the ropes for the ships, for the canvas, for the sleeping bags. It was critical. So farmers were really pushed to grow industrial hemp in World War II. And then twist in the 50s, the Drug Enforcement Administration decided, well, we'll include that under the Controlled Substances Act. You go try to smoke whatever it is, a cigarette or joint of industrial hemp, you'll get diarrhea and a headache. And any farm kid knows that. Industrial hemp is not a drug, so
Well,
it needs to be freed from that shackle.
Yes.
And are there
And we
places
need
now
to-
that we're growing it here, or
Well,
can
we
we grow,
did,
or
we
is there
did here. We have hemp products in all the stores. You go into the market and you can buy hemp tortilla chips, very nutritious. They're
Make it high.
hemp bread, you name it, it's all there. But we have to import everything. The farmers can't grow it, which is nuts.
So was
We-
it grown here before? I mean, before it
In
was
the
outlawed?
1800s,
Oh,
we believe
way,
it
way
was.
before.
Mhm.
So we have a lot of fallow land out there.
But they didn't know about the hemp building materials. That's a more recent invention of mixing the lime and some other product and the water and being able to build your walls actually out of this hempcrete, it's called. H-E-M-P, I believe, C-R-E-T-E. And superior building material. Imagine growing your own building materials on each island and
Yeah.
think of what that does for
Well,
your farmland.
It speaks of self-reliance, you know, which Hawaii really needs to have. We ought to have this kind of technology. It is technology.
And if the biofuels pans out, we have a great deal of interest in that from the biofuel folks here in the islands, and they're supporting it. Because if that pans out, think of what we could do on cutting back the use of fossil fuel for transportation.
Transportation
Yeah.
costs,
Which
yeah.
is huge.
Yeah, and university spent 100 years on sugar, refining the technology on sugar. We have Sitar there, you know. We could make this a sort of targeted research project, something like Ocean Energy, actually.
Well, I don't think the two coordinate, although some brilliant scientists may figure
Who
out
knows?
how they do. But it's House Bill 154, unanimously passed the House. It's in the Senate, and I hope people that are interested in becoming really more independent and from mainland products and want to be able to grow their own building materials here, I hope that they will testify in support.
Well, I think it's wonderful what you do, Cynthia. No kidding. You've been such a fantastic supporter of energy
very
and clean energy,
energetic.
even
Very.
before it was popular to do that. You know.
Right.
This is Think Tech. That's Representative Cynthia Thielen and Sharon Moriwaki. We've had a wonderful time talking about the Energy Committee and being vice chair, being elevated to vice chair of energy in the state. Thank you so much, Cynthia.
Thank you so much for letting me be on your show. I
We'll do
love
it again.
We'll do it again. We'll talk about hemp and biofuels.
All right.
Aloha, you guys.
Hello.